What is up, YouTube? My name is Trinity and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you've been here before. When you think of famous landmarks and tourist attractions, what comes to mind? For me, I would think of like the Grand Canyon, Yosemite, Niagara Falls, Yellowstone, that kind of stuff, at least in the US. Though there's one we're going to talk about today that, for the sake of your own mental health, I hope you have never heard of. In the 70s, there was a drilling team that was digging in a crater outside of the town of Gumption, Texas. When their drills broke ground, instead of oil or even water coming up, instead they hit blood and flesh. They had uncovered an enormous living creature called the Permian Basin superorganism. And instead of this scientific discovery being studied, protected, or even destroyed, it was monetized. Thanks, capitalism. Yes, this creature became the world's most grotesque tourist attraction run by Andoin Deep Earth Mining, until it was seized by the National Park Service as well as the surrounding area and renamed the Mystery Flesh Pit National Park. Thankfully, this is a fictional story, though obviously no less disturbing. The concept of the Mystery Flesh Pit National Park was created by Trevor Roberts in 2019 on Reddit. He got the inspiration for this entire project from seeing a photoshopped image of a rotting cantaloupe combined with an open pit mine. Trevor took inspiration from this photo and decided to put it on a poster, imitating the look of those old national parks posters put up by the Works Progress Administration. Since this image was created, he has added on to the lore and world building of the Mystery Flesh Pit by adding several ads and diagrams and maps all to this page just to, no pun intended, flesh it out. So getting back to the in-universe story, how you would probably imagine this state park to work is that people would visit the park itself and then go see the organism itself as part of the state park. But no, of course not. The pit, the Permian Basin superorganism, was the park, as in people went into it through the oral cavity and explored. Tourists would come and use the creature for recreational activities such as hiking and camping. Some of the most popular places that tourists would visit within the national park were the throat, the lungs, and the digestive organs of the creature. Those are not the only attractions, though. If you were to plan on bringing a date to the flesh pit, what the fuck am I saying? And you want to get lucky, you can take them down to the ballast pods. Advertised and operated as hot springs full of amniotic fluid that acts as an aphrodisiac. Though, like any other non-fleshy national park, this one contains all sorts of wildlife. The park boasts a rich, diverse ecosystem consisting of many interesting, unique creatures, such as abyssal copepods, which are arachnid-like creatures that can grow to 20 feet in length. And if a giant spider-like creature in a giant meat cave isn't creepy enough, they have human-like hands and arms. Or the gigantopede, which is a huge myriapod with a carnivorous diet. And if you're wondering what a myriapod is, it is like centipedes and millipedes. So think of that, but gigantic and wanting to eat you. There's also the gasp owl, which is a bird-like vertebrate with a similar lifestyle to cicadas and mayflies.
Excuse me. I need your help. You need to kill me.
Because I don't want to be disgusted even further, I'm not going to look back in my entomology notes and see what the lifestyles of cicadas and mayflies are like. Then there's the amorphous shame, which is a very derived cousin of the weasel that has lost its skin and eyes, as well as other organs. Then there are the macrobacteria, a highly social, diverse group of terrestrial echinoderms. If I remember correctly, echinoderms are starfish and sea urchins. Then there is the mesoglial tridecapod, which is an arthropod that helps filter the blood and arteries of the flesh pit. Then there is the Venus shamble, which is a species of cephalopod related to octopus and squid with several dozen tendril-like arms. And even if you're outside of the flesh pit, you may be lucky enough to see some of the very unique fauna that lives around it, namely the compound surface fauna, which is a catch-all term for anatomical amalgamations of surface animals and occasionally humans that become fused through some strange phenomenon that scientists still don't understand that happens around the flesh pit. Now, if you're interested in some of the more traveled parts of the park, there is the southern brachial forest, which is the respiratory organ of the creature. It contains the macrobacteria, a luminescent form of fungus, and some creatures called Pneumaceae that I really don't want to look up. There is also the well of the abhumans. Now, the history behind this is very weird and disturbing. Now, the well itself is actually a duct of the organism that was discovered in the 1980s and is comprised of many types of unidentified tissue. Now, when the duct itself was opened and the upper portion was sealed, it was discovered that the tissues were saturated in formaldehyde. If you recall what formaldehyde is, it is an agent that preserves things. When a brave or stupid explorer decided to go down into the well, he discovered a spongy-like tissue the further down you went. And he was able to identify some very well-preserved hominids that had been just in the duct. Though while they were hominids, it was determined that they were not human due to differences in muscle and skeletal structure. Now, to figure out when these human relatives were stuck down there, bone samples were taken from each of them. One was dated from about 10,000 AC, the second from 35,000 BC, and the third one was determined to have bones completely comprised of a plastic polymer. So I don't know what the hell that means. I just know it's not right, and certainly not human. There is also something called the circus clown chimus. Now, this striking, multicolored, calcified structure is comprised of 50 circus clowns that fell into the Mystery Flesh Pit in 1976. They were located several hours later by rescue personnel in what is called a digestive sac. So the flesh pit was eating them. They cut open the sac, and luckily many of the clowns were still alive, but some had perished, and many of them were already beginning to be digested. And then an experimental anti-acid compound was sprayed onto the clowns to stop the digestive process happening on their skin. But instead of just neutralizing the digestive acid, it reacted and flash calcified them altogether. Now, why was this amazing place shut down, you might ask? Obviously, it sounds like family fun that would bring in people from all over the world to enjoy this natural wonder. Well, after 30 years of operation, in 2007, there was a catastrophic incident. On the 4th of July, unexpectedly heavy rains caused electrical failures throughout the park, which caused the organism to swallow up all park goers and structures within the park, and then subsequently vomit them back up, leading to 750 casualties. I'll be honest, I don't really know how to end this one. I know I was acting disgusted through the whole thing, and the concept is disgusting. I can't imagine walking through a flesh pit. I don't even like saying that. That sounds disgusting. But it is another example of creative storytelling and world building, like we've talked about many times on this channel, which is really weird because this is not like a writing or storytelling channel or anything like that. But it keeps coming up because it is fantastic and it was creepy and weird, and that is what my channel is. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to leave a like and share with a friend if you think they'd enjoy this video too. If you're not subscribed, click that subscribe button, and if you are, also click the bell icon so you'll be notified when I upload. And finally, if you're a fan of all things creepy like I am, be sure to check out my creepy stuff playlist down in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.